How do you do? The events you're about to witness involve 4 people. 4 people. Walt D. Jones, Jr., who did not make the team. Marilyn Jones, who claims she resembles a certain movie star. She does, but not in the way she thinks. Walt D. Jones, Sr., who is in serious trouble. And Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Walt D. Jones, who is not all she seems to be. She did that this morning, too. Home supplies, as usual, are low, and she's doing her food buying for the week. And this is where we find our first clues to the real Mrs. Jones. The first fact I learned, and expected to learn, is that Mrs. Jones is emotional about food. Cabbages reminded her of poverty. Cucumbers were warty. But lettuce graces every table. Beans, definitely lower class. Oatmeal, too common. Canned tomatoes, too acid. Liver was too limp. You'll agree that she's an emotional buyer. And the results? Let's see what one of her meals, today's breakfast, for example, is doing for her family. The breakfast that is giving such strength to old Walt D. Jones this morning down at the plant. The breakfast that is giving such drive to Marilyn's thinking apparatus. The breakfast that is so improving Wally Jr.'s showing on the field. Very well, you say. Perhaps they did have a poor breakfast. Perhaps Mrs. Jones is emotional about food. What's so remarkable about that? Give her a chance. Well, that's exactly what I am giving her. As you shall judge. Only cereal cream. No milk, that excellent source of protein, riboflavin, and calcium. None at home either. And not enough eggs. I wonder how Mrs. Jones could forget the milk. A mysterious woman, you'll agree. Perhaps the next count will tell us more. Nothing conclusive there. But wait, watch closely. Her next stop is the fruit section. Let's see what she's bought. Pretty as a picture, aren't they? But what's wrong with that picture? You've guessed it. No oranges, no grapefruit, no tomatoes. In other words, very little vitamin C. Why? That's what we're trying to find out. Oh, one moment, she's about to romp through the vegetable department again. I want to find in this shopping cart a few green and yellow vegetables. I want to find carrots, spinach, broccoli, green beans, even yellow turnip. Any vegetable which converts to vitamin A. Oh, dear. Surely the food selection will be much more wise when it comes to meat, poultry, and fish. Our main source of protein, not to mention B-complex vitamins. With all the meats to choose from, Mrs. Jones had to choose a steak a day for Walt's fad diet. Note, however, no potatoes, from which we may get as much as 1/4 of our daily vitamin C requirements. But I forget, potatoes are the one thing Mrs. Jones has in plentiful supply at home. Mrs. Jones is emotional about food. Many people are. Mrs. Jones buys from habit. Most people do. The question is, with her family in such danger, has Mrs. Jones the faintest inkling of what food is, of what food does? For instance, has she any idea how badly the lunches she provided are letting them down? Is that planned, accidental, or... Well, we shall soon know. Right now, the ceremonial preparations for dinner. You realize, Mrs. Jones, that anything you say will probably be used against you? Then let us proceed. What is food, Mrs. Jones? Why, yes. Food is fuel. And what does food do? 3 things, you say? Food builds and repairs the body. Food provides energy. Food protects health generally and does special jobs. You're so well informed. I take it that you know just what you're doing to those innocent potatoes. Throwing the best part of the potatoes to you, handsome young fellow. And pray tell me, what are you going to be when you grow up? Oh, healthy, eh? Well, there's a very good chance of that. You're the best fed member of the Jones family. Excuse me? What did you say? I understand. You get a lot of the water-soluble nutrients from the water the vegetables are cooked in. Mm-hmm. And what's that? And half the B vitamins from the liquids drained from the canned vegetables. Remarkable. Of course, Mrs. Jones hasn't the faintest idea what a vitamin is. Oh. Broadly speaking, vitamins serve to assist the body in carrying out many of its chemical reactions in the most efficient manner. vitamins are absolutely essential to health. But they must be supplied as such in the food, because the human body cannot make them itself. What makes this whole situation so horrible is that the amount of vitamins required each day is terribly small. How much thiamine a day to maintain health? A pinpoint. The niacin everybody needs, an amount no bigger than a pinhead, and only 5 times that amount of ascorbic acid. With very little effort, the normal individual can get all he needs solely through his diet, unless... Oh, the best part of the lettuce thrown away. You make it very difficult for me. I know you're emotional about food. I know you often buy from habit. I know that you're not ignorant of A, what food is, B, what food does, C, the vital need for minerals and vitamins in daily diet. At this stage, all you have to do is reveal awareness of the Canada food rules, and I shall slump to the floor in utter confusion. Oh.
She seems to know, but persists in acting as if she didn't. What must I do? Call down visions of anemia to show what's happening to Marilyn?
There's normal rich blood, and here's a sample of Marilyn's blood. And if I told Mrs. Jones, what would her defense be? She'd remind me that around 6% of Canadians lack iron, protein, various vitamins. Result? They have anemia too. Should I illustrate what's happening to Wally Jr.? Wally is suffering from a lack of vitamin D and calcium just when, as a teenager, he will need a lot of mineral for fast-growing bone. Very soon, his bones may not look normal like this. Instead, to which Mrs. Jones would reply, 7% of us have rickets. Calcium is the mineral element most likely to be low in the average diet. As far as mentioning her husband, Walt D. Jones Sr., good old Walt, she'll describe how he used to be, and then how he's become since she's been fattening him up. This she would claim as an improvement. And yet her husband is close to scurvy, with his fatigue, easy bruising, and bleeding at the gums. Let me show you how such a serious illness can be caused by malnutrition even when food is abundant. Walt D. Jones has scurvy because of his peculiar diet. He believes in magic foods. Bee jelly and blackstrap molasses. Walt will be in there gobbling it up by the ton. Fortunately, he sees his doctor every year. And 9 months from today, he'll ask his doctor if this diet is healthy. His doctor will groan. So much for Walt D. Jones Sr. Wally Jr. is listless and oppressed. His trouble? On the theory that everything will even out in the end, he's allowed to eat what he fancies. So far, his fancies have started him on the way to stunted bone growth. Marilyn, like her movie star idol, has anemia. This is why. Her particular diet is to keep slim. That's all, slim at any cost. At the cost even, I might add, of a complexion which is poor and a hair which is lifeless. Oh, not much time left. Dinner soon. It will be interesting to see how monstrous dinner's going to be. Breakfast was bad enough. Perhaps if we hurry, we have just enough time to admire some of breakfast's chief constituents. Now then, only cereal with milk is a better breakfast than just coffee. But I ask you, Moxes, shot from hot water bottles, the latest novelty. Minced chomps, another despicable substance containing little or no nutritive value, sprayed with gumdrop sauce, and all wonderfully advertised. Of course, there are good dry cereals, but you didn't see one there, did you? You certainly didn't see a whole grain cereal. Yet important as grain cereals and bread are to the diet because of the large quantities eaten, often giving us as much as a third of our protein needs, yet despite this, the Jones succumb to advertising and buy things like this because it's new, different, and it says so on the package. Why? My, what a mysterious woman. So many contradictions in this situation. Facts at her fingertips, but never used. The return of the happy tribe. Soon to have rickets unless new food habits save him. At the moment, weak, without energy, not much good for any kind of teen. In a word, uninformed. Enthusiastically in pursuit of good health, intelligent enough to know importance of diet, confused by foods with magic properties. In a word, misguided. Poor Marilyn. All those drinks and candy bars to destroy her normal appetite so she will stay stylishly slim and, as she hopes, beautiful. In a word, Marilyn is indifferent to good diet. Is any of this Mrs. Jones' fault? Why don't we blame somebody's grandmother? We can. From the notes in Granny's favorite cookbook, it would seem that her attitude towards eating was lots of meat and potatoes and fill up the cracks with a good solid pudding. Plain food for plain people was Granny's motto. She felt that you mustn't enjoy food. And I must say that she had a fine stock of myths and superstitions to prevent that. Fish is brain food. Only children need milk. Huckleberry tea is a cure for bunions. A white egg is better than a brown egg. And here's an interesting dietary observation. All an old person needs to eat is a good cup of tea and a slice of toast to take the chill off. Not enough food value in that for a bird. Which fact may account for Granny's absence. I wonder, does Mrs. Jones keep Granny's superstitions as a memento? Or does she really believe in them? The Canada food rules, so simple, yet she doesn't practice them. There! The signs are all around you. Remember? Food provides substance for energy. Food builds and repairs the body. Food protects health generally and performs special jobs. Madam, you must be convinced that nutrition makes a great difference to health and efficiency. Know what good eating habits are and provide the foods. Don't just play along with the weird eating habits of your family, and set a good example yourself. Encourage them into adventure. Doubtless the 1220th time she set the table exactly like this. Mrs. Jones can also be accused of setting a dreary table. The final piece of evidence is in. Dinner time. Enter the victims who, by their own behavior, have assisted in their own undoing. You will no longer, of course, be misled by the smiling composure of this woman. What we have witnessed here together has been nothing more nor less than a crime. No other explanation fits the facts. And the moral of this lurid little story: if your object is to debilitate, cripple, or eliminate your family, do it the modern way. Why bother about poison in this day and age? Merely ignore the findings of the nutritionists and bring about scurvy, pellagra, anemia, rickets, and all sorts of sickly conditions simply by letting the family diet go the way of whim and habit. Canada's food rules? Ha! Ignore them. Enjoy the worst of bad health. Let there be a crime in your kitchen, too.